illness progressed, more desperate measures were required. Exposing a patient's lungs to ultraviolet light in a so-called sunroom was one common treatment. An alternative method involved placing balloons into a patient's lungs and inflating them to encourage the lungs to breathe. Then there was the last resort, as doctors called it, surgically removing some ribs and the surrounding muscle tissue to ease the pressure of the lungs. Patients rarely survived it. For cases such as these, nurses at the death tunnel, a 500-foot chute, I don't know what this word means, CHUTE, 500-foot chute, used to lower dead bodies out of the hospital and to the bottom of the hill. It wasn't just used for convenience, it helped protect the older patient's mental is Eerie. Eerie. I don't know, Eerie. Countless people have seen the same desperate, spectral woman running out the front entrance of Waverly Hills. Witnesses saw her hands and legs bound in chains, blood dripping from her wrists and ankles. She screams desperately for someone to help her, then disappears into thin air. Could she have been one of the many victims of TB who died at the hospital, or one of the tortured residents of the prison-like elderly home that followed? No one can say. One thing's for sure: the wailing woman isn't alone. The spectral appearances of countless children, likely young victims of TB, still roam the hospital. Many visitors have heard the sounds of children laughing and playing on the building's roof, even singing nursery rhymes like Ring Around the Rosie. When visitors investigated the strange sounds, no one was to be found. It makes sense that the spirits of children might linger on the roof. They were often taken up there for Elliot therapy, where doctors exposed them to the sun and fresh air in hopes of alleviating TB symptoms. More sinister children can be found deeper in the building. On the third floor, the ghost of a little girl has been seen so many times that visitors have given her a name: Mary. Mary appears in different ways to different people, maybe depending on her mood. Sometimes visitors find her harmlessly, though eerily, playing in the hall with a ball. Sometimes she's just lurking and watching. The account of one terrified visitor shows a different side of Mary. The person found the more disturbing Mary in one of the rooms on the third floor and claimed after that Mary wasn't normal. The little girl appeared to have no eyes, just black gaping sockets where they once were. Witnesses report that visitor ran screaming from the building and refused to return. Many believe her story, since other witnesses have also reported seeing the same girl peering down at them from windows on the third floor. Mary is not the only little one roaming Waverly Hills upper levels. Just one floor up lurks the ghost of Timmy. It's been seen and discussed so much over the years that it's hard to parcel out fact from fiction. But legend has it that he showing the eerie face of a young boy peering around the corner. Dying at such a young age, Timmy will forever be a child. One who just wants to play, even if he can't manage to depart the hospital where he languished and passed away. A few ghostly children might seem harmless enough, but the fifth floor never fails to horrify. The floor looks normal enough with a couple of nurses' stations and patient rooms. Legend has it that the fifth floor is where the doctors housed the TB patients who had gone mad from their suffering. Guys. Though no one can say for sure. Reports of strange shapes, disembodied voices, and unexplained sounds are more common on this floor than any other. Hands down, the most mysterious and ghostly part of the floor, possibly even the building, is room 502. Even just approaching it, visitors often feel incredibly uncomfortable, overwhelmed with a sense of despair. That would make sense, considering the sad history the room holds. Legend has it that in 1928, a nurse was found in the room, hung by the neck from a light fixture. Suicide. The woman had become pregnant out of wedlock by one of the doctors of superintendents of the hospital. No one knows which. Depression overtook her, and rather than admit the shame of being pregnant and not married, she took her own life and that of her unborn child. But that wasn't the end of despair from room 502. In 1932, another nurse jumped out of the window, plunging to her death. Unlike the previous woman, no one knows why this nurse would have taken her own life. People at the time speculated that she may have been pushed out. No one was ever able to solve the mystery. It would seem that one or both of the nurses who lost their lives in room 502 still linger today. Some have witnessed the complete apparition of a woman in white lingering in the doorway of room 502. Others have seen strange shadows and heard whispers. One thing's for sure, room 502 is not a welcoming place. Often the door closes on its own accord. Many have heard a clear and firm voice saying, "Get out." nurses allow anyone